making sure this is a little bit taller. No, too much. Sure, we're good.
We're good.
When you're ready.
We're ready.
Oh, are we on?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, Tim Ham, over $4 million in retail sales on PPF Magazine's top PPF dealers for 2022. You were solely listed. You were the only company, Felony Film is your company out of Atlanta, Georgia. And your company was the only one above the $4 million threshold. Every other one was between 1 million and 3.9 or below that, of course. But you were the only one above 4 million.
You know, that astonishes me because last year, I think I was somewhere in number 6. And so I told myself, how do I get to number 1? And then for some odd reason this year, I was number 1 in my own bracket. And that right there was a dream come true for me at first. And then, you know, you catch a lot of heat from other people going, hey.
So let's talk about the heat. One of the things that stood out, there was a comment about like kind of to the effect of like prove it, like show your taxes or whatnot. Now on the list, some of the businesses had an asterisk, and that asterisk signified that it was an estimated amount. Your company did not have an asterisk. It did not indicate it was estimated. Did the magazine verify in some way your sales, or how did they ask you for this information?
You know, they actually did. And whenever I got some people saying, hey, let me see your taxes, there was a select few that actually sent the proof to. I think the proof, you know, I sent them what I make per week, or even my 1099s from the dealerships. So, I mean, I have one dealership that does over $2.3 million, just one. And there's 15 locations we handle. But then at that point, I sat there and talked to myself. I'm like, who do I need to prove? I mean, I've already proved myself. Of course, taxes, you write off stuff. You write off your cars, your plush.
Well, gross sales is gross sales, right? So like taxes aren't going to show your, well, they would show your, maybe because they show your gross sales. I don't know.
They would.
Well, but regardless, what proof do you show? How does, everybody kind of wants to know, I feel like, and maybe it's like not public knowledge, but like when the magazine compiles this list, they say, Tim, or, you know, you submit the information, like, what do you submit? What did you submit to them, if anything?
You know, we sat there and we talked, and of course, people do want to see your proof of what you make. And the only thing that he asked for, and the only thing I was willing to give him, I sent him, you know, several bank statements or what I make per week, you know, when the checks roll in or whatnot. And then I sent him one of the 1099s, and he said that's plenty enough that we need. Of course, I can talk out my ass and say, look, I made $10 million this year, and lie about it. I mean, people do that all the time. It's Facebook.
Okay, so right. So there's always that possibility, right? Somebody could say, well, you're making it up. So you could just make it up. Now, the thing about it, though, is the first thing that comes to my mind is you have somebody like Chris Hardy that you're close to. And Chris Hardy's the kind of guy, if I was to walk up with you and go, hey, does Tim do a shitload of sales? Like, is he buying a fuckload of film from you? He's going to go, yes, he does buy a lot of film from me. So there's not really like a way to just like blank lie, you know what I mean? And that's not even talking about the cars and the other, you know, possessions and investments that you have as well that have to come from somewhere. So you're buying the film, you're weeding the film, you're showing your installers. You can't really, you got to be doing it somehow. If you're not doing it that way, it's still impressive. And I still want to know how you're doing it, you know?
Look, lots of drugs. I mean, you see this right here? This is my cocaine. It's not even real. I posted it on my videos several times, and people's like, is that real cocaine? I'm like, bro, it's a coaster.
Right. So why don't we talk about that? Why don't we backtrack and talk about a little bit more about what Felony Films is, how you got started, why it's called Felony Films, and why you are known as Mr. Cocaine and Hookers.
Well, you know, I get a lot of people with questions about why did I use the name slogan Hookers and Cocaine or Felony Film.
So Felony Film is the actual name of your company, and then your slogan is Hookers and Cocaine? Or like, to explain this, because to somebody who has no idea what the fuck we're talking about, they're not going to be able to really like put the two together.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna backtrack to how I got started. So, as a kid, we were poor. My dad's always owned a business, but being a business owner is not always shiny and whatever you want to call it. It's not always perfect. I mean, owning a business is actually pretty hard. I've learned that from my dad because I've seen him fail. And back then, he was a TV repairman. He started with somebody, branched off on his own, failed, and then went back. And which I've seen that in businesses all the time. Age 12, we became sort of homeless, moved into my dad's electronics shop. And after 2 years of that, I kind of got tired of it, quit school, moved out with, at the time, older girlfriend. So hence, Homeless Loser is my Cash App, my Instagram. And it's one of those names that kind of makes fun of my past. People's like, why Homeless Loser? So the reason I was homeless, we as a family, and decided to work my ass off, 3 jobs, saved up on my money. I met somebody in a pawn business, started working for him, learned everything about it, saved. Age 17, I decided to open up my own business. I design car parts for the Honda S2000, and that's kind of how I got into cars. So at that point, I was still making money. I was still in the pawn business. And one day, my godfather at the pawn shop pissed me off because I was making money with the car parts. And so I decided to go out on my own. Whenever he made me mad, I actually opened a pawn shop directly across from him. Reason for that is because I already had a clientele. Got the clientele people want to deal with me versus him. And that was just one of those things where should I have done it? Yeah, but I mean, it's business. And then, of course, later in life, anyway, we're talking about the homeless part. So the Homeless Loser goes back towards that. So now we're moving into why I call it Felony Film. So in the pawn business,
Well, real quick, let me interrupt you. When you started using the tag like Homeless Loser, it's your Instagram name, like you said, maybe your Cash App and so on. But like Instagram's pretty public. Like if you go to your account, you clearly see that your name is Homeless Loser on Instagram. When you created that, you were not homeless. It was kind of like an homage to your past, like kind of like a idea, but you weren't homeless in any fact. Like you were doing well, like really well, right?
not really well yet,
Okay.
but I was getting there.
Okay.
So again, it's just paying homage to my past. So as we get into the felony film part, so with felony film, I also own felony properties. So I do properties as well. And felony film it was more of a trying to reinvent myself in 2018. And before that, I worked with Speed Film and under David. And I'm like, I'm gonna just branch out on my own. I want to take the company farther. He didn't want to do that. He's legitimately 20 years older than me and wants to, he likes to do 2-3 cars a day. He's good. And I'm sitting here going, man, we can do so much more. And so I just decided to branch out on my own. So let me find a name. It was a bullshit name, to be honest with him. We're sitting around. I'm like, Felony Film. You think that would work? And everybody's like, Tim, it's not going to work. I'm like, let me do a stupid slogan, hookers and cocaine. And that's how it came to be. And it was mainly because of my pawn shop business. In 2005, I bought a truckload of stolen stuff. I didn't know it was stolen. People were like, well, why didn't you know? I was like, well, the guy actually had his paperwork. These guys were jacking trucks. They had paperwork with it. I had no idea. And so at that point, I bought it. I started reselling some of the stuff. Somebody decided to snitch on me and say, hey, Tim's got all this, stuff or whatever. Police came, shut down my pawn shop, arrested me, made every news channel. And that's how I got 8 theft by receivings and a gun charge. I mean, at the time, I'm always on probation. I'm actually off now. I mean, I have to withhold my name here and stay on probation, but I'm done with that. I'm 43, done. And it's just one of those things where I did do jail time. I went to prison for 2 years for that. And it was such a bullshit charge, but I was young. I was 25. I had no idea. They wanted to make an example out of somebody. So let's fast forward back to the felony film. So, kind of making fun of my past again. And it worked. I mean, so people were like, why did you do that? or even a slogan. That's just such a weird slogan, but it's a slogan that sticks. When you tell somebody felony film or hookers and cocaine, it sticks in your mind. Well, this guy. If you're gonna think of my name versus what's just a bad basic business name?
Like, I'm going to say somebody's business name.
I
That's
know,
fucked
I know.
up.
It's something
Like
basic.
if you were like Precision PPF, like that could be kind of universal. There might be a bunch of those. It's not a bad name. It just
No,
could be generic, right? Like
yeah.
something like that, A plus or something. Yeah.
Or even your basic gas station. Well, maybe one
Oh,
that.
any business. You're not talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
Yeah,
any
I
business. So
gotcha.
if you come up to a gas station that says Mr. Hookers and Cocaine, you're gonna be like, and it's pretty badass. They get the jobs done, or they have the nicest gas pumps or something. I don't know. Just
Hold
something.
on. You lost me. Wait, you're saying if we go to, let's say like, how about this? It's a cloak. Is this a fair, example we can build off of? If you
Yeah.
went to a laundromat and it was called Acme Laundromat, because there's a lot of like different Acme kind of, because it starts with an A. Instead, it's going to be called Hookers and Cocaine
Yeah, or
Laundromat.
something off the wall that you're gonna remember.
Okay.
I mean, it's going to stick in your mind when you think of this guy, Tim Ham, and then his name is Mr. Hookers and Cocaine. Or
I think I know where you're going with this, but
I'm
but
trying
I know where you're going with it. But okay, here's my question to you. Really, looking back at the name, okay, and your success, and we'll get to all your success, but really, like looking back at the name, Hookers and Cocaine and Felony Film. Tell me, in your opinion, do you think that name was the reason for your success, meaning it added to your success because it was memorable, it was different, and people couldn't help but think about you when they thought about PPF? Or do you think, even so, you have such a wild name, you were so good at executing your business model and your style and what you've created that even so you had that name, you were able to be so good, and then you kind of caught up with the name to where it doesn't matter anymore?
I think it was the last one, or it's all of it, all of it in one. So I mean, it's not just a name. You've got to be able to complete the jobs, execute, do as perfect as possible, as quick as possible, and then that goes back to the PPF Magazine thing. Sorry. And people don't realize you have to complete the jobs. If you can't complete the jobs, then you're backed up. You have a backlog. You're 2 months scheduled out. Me, I'm trying to not, what's the word I'm going to look for? I try not to get a backlog. If we have 10, 12 cars to do today, we're going to do them.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Part of why you are a 4 million plus business in PPF with no physical location and a relatively extremely small crew is because of your speed and efficiency in your process.
Yes.
Could we go to the point to take me to like the last time you were doing PPF at a normal pace and efficiency? Normal meaning what everybody considers kind of a similar standard. I would say most shops probably operate in a similar manner. Take me back to that point to where then you said, hey, this is what we're going to do. And you started becoming what you are now, unless you never were at a normal rate, but you were, right? Nobody starts where you're at.
Yeah, no. There was a point where let's take it back to 2018 when I branched back out on my own. It was me by myself, so I'm doing 1-2 cars a day, and then I was doing
Mobile at dealerships or for who? Okay.
Mobile, and then of course I was doing a lot of work for Tint World because I took the Porsches there. That's where I met Junior, and then at that point I'm sitting here going, well, let's expand. I can use him. And then, of course, we started getting more accounts, more cars. So now you fast forward to now. Back then, 4 or 5 cars every few days. And now we're doing 10, 15 a day. But of course, now the crew is bigger. We have 5 installers. It's not big, but it's big enough. And then so you have to reinvent yourself on how do I get more accounts? How do I do this? How do I do that? So the main secret is the dealerships. And dealerships is your key. I mean, I've got this guy named Chris Velez. He is a beast, and he's taught his other guys, John and Emerson, and now they can pretty much sell it on ceramic, PPF, window tint, almost every Porsche that comes through. And the key to that is us working in the Bay, where they can actually take the clients out, show them, And whenever you bring it to me, I'm going to take that wire brush and I'm going to beat the fuck out of the car in front of the client. And usually when the client sees that, they buy it instantly. Just
So if I understand, you're basically installing all the time and you're doing it in the service base so that you become part of the sales process for the sales team. So they're selling a car, they can always just walk over, bring the customer to an installation, kind of get a live sales example. Yeah.
yes, yes.
Keep going.
And you know, a lot of the businesses, a lot of people don't like dealerships. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think you're right.
And one of the reasons is it's hard to find the keys. It's hard to find the cars. Is everything, you know, they can't plot on site. They can't do this. They can't do that. So for me, I usually ask them to, you know, the day before, I need a picture of the car, year, make, and model. That's the reason why I do my plotting at night, so that way I'm ready for the next day. Then we go in, usually the sales guys or finance, they'll have the keys ready in the box. The car's right out front. And we can go, we can start at 8 in the morning, you know, get our jobs done. And I think one of the main things people don't like is you getting a runaround from the dealership. Oh, we can't find the keys. We don't know what, you know, they get lazy. They don't want to take a picture, send it to them, or they want them to take it to their shop. So whenever you take it to somebody's shop, you have a liability of, is the car going to get rear-ended? Is something going to happen, a flat tire, or whatever it may be. So if we don't leave the dealership, there's nothing on me. I can just do it there.
I'm here. I'm listening. So, okay. So you're doing it at the dealership. Can we kind of back up to, you mentioned like dealership work's important to get. How do you even get your foot in the door for somebody who hasn't done any dealer work? Are you just saying, hey, I'm with Felony Film.
No.
I love fucking hookers and cocaine, and I'm your PPF solution. Like, how do you make those relationships? Were they relationships you do you have to go out to like get drinks with these people? Or are you just like going in a suit? What are you doing?
The dealerships are harder to get, especially the really good ones. And for me, I mean, I like to be their friends too. So it's not, a lot of people depend on the dealership just for the money. I come in, I'm your friend, I'll talk shit to you. Sometimes I'll have
about that.
I've actually been really subtle tonight on this. So I mean, a lot of people would tell me, what the hell's wrong with you? I have multiple personalities, so good in good ways. But no, to get a good dealership, you do have to establish a friendship with them. And for me, I mean, if you really want a dealership, go in and buy a car from them. It might cost you $100,000, but then talk to the sales guy. Who does your PPF?
Right.
Are you happy with them? Do they take care of you? I mean, sometimes take them out for drinks, buy them food. I mean, I don't do that obviously because I don't have time. They can go fuck themselves. They're probably watching. They know I'm
but look, so to start, it's the best answer that you gave, which is an actual answer, is buy a car from them, because that is a way to get, a lot of times you'll see like if a tint or PPF company like does a lot of dealer work, they'll own a car from that company. Billy has an Audi, services the Audi. You have a million Porsche, service the Porsche. And I think the list kind of goes on. Like there's plenty of shops that do that. It's actually a way to do it. Even if it's a Honda or whatever, like when the dealer, the point is you're buying a car and you get some time with them, and
it is
put some money in their pocket as well.
Yes.
Not literally, I mean, but buying the car is a good impression. You're not there to sell them something. You're there to buy something,
Yes. And the next thing you want to do is kind of look at their PPF guy. Like Range Rover, let's just say. I was in there the other day and no wrapped edges. The lines just all over the place. I'm just like, what the shit's going on here? Then go show them the car that I'm driving at the time. It's full PPF Stealth. Hey, look, I can actually offer this to you. What's your turnaround? Our guys take 3 days. I'm like, my turnaround 24 hours. If you need a full front done, an hour and a half. And they're always impressed. And then that's whenever you start talking to them. Then you talk numbers. Usually dealerships like to have the cheapest people there. And me, of course, I'm not cheap. So I explained to them the reason why I'm not cheap. We get the jobs done. You have a 24-hour turnaround. These customers, they want their cars now. I mean, if you go buy a brand new car, you want to drive it off the lot, go show it off. And, you want it now. So if we can complete it every job now, as perfect as possible, and not as many comebacks, then you can demand a higher price. Higher price. I mean, this is like you buy Louis Vuitton or Gucci, and then you go to Walmart or Michael Kors. So you have several levels. You want the better quality, then you pay the money for faster and efficient.
Okay. So you service quite a few dealerships. How do you deal with scheduling with those dealerships so you're not like running around too much? Because I would imagine scheduling is a big part of your efficiency.
It is. It is. Now that I have two teams, I mean, I've got 5 people, 6 including myself. So I can start one Porsche dealership with 2 or 3 guys, and then the other Porsche dealer same way. I mean, sometimes we can get 2 bays and we can tandem work. And so my main accounts are Porsche. And then we have the smaller guys, which I have access to their locations. So if I have to show up to do a job at 11 p.m., they can go home. I have access to their building, go and get the job done, and then leave it as I found it.
Do you feel that Porsche specifically, like if someone is in another state, they're not in Atlanta, Georgia, and they're like, I want to do what Tim's doing, I'm going to approach a dealership and sell them on me being their PPF solution. Should they simply go to a Porsche dealer, and then if they get kind of, it doesn't go anywhere, go to another Porsche dealer, and just kind of really, is Porsche like exceptionally the brand because of the volume of PPF maybe conversions? Or do you feel like BMW and, Range Rover or Land Rover and other brands also could be similar?
Any brand can do that. It really depends on your sales team. So the sales team would be your finance guys. But
Not the salespeople that sell the cars, rather the salespeople are going to sell the PPF, which is the finance team. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, well, it's two. So for me, your finance is your main guys because, of course, they make their commission after selling a product. But if you get to know them first, and then what they can do is they'll get with the sales guy. The sales guy can pre-pitch it, and then you put it in customer's mind, PPF or ceramic, whatever it may be. And then once they get into finance, that's when you sit down and you talk about all the different options: wheel and tire, PPF, ceramic. So that way the customer hears it 2 times. But at the same time, you don't want to waste your sales guys' time if you're doing a really bad job, or you're slow, or you have just too many mess ups. It affects their CSI. So at the end of the day, is it worth it for them to sell your product? Because the commission's not very much from the dealership. Sometimes, everybody wants to cut cost. So the sales guys really don't care to sell your product, because at the same time they have to call your customer, schedule it. Then the customer sees something wrong, they're calling the sales guy. They're not calling finance, they're calling the sales guy. So you have to make it worth it for them. Again, sometimes buy them gifts for Christmas, or take them out to dinners, or do something nice for them here. But it all goes down to, it's not just Porsche, it's any brand. If you have a team that stands behind you, that you're efficient, you're fast. It could be BMW. You have a sales guy, goes to finance. And at the same time, you're doing them a job. They're getting their commission from the back end. And then they have happy clients. They're always going to purchase PPF. Because, I mean, if you do a shitty job, let me tell you, you're not going to buy PPF again, are you?
Right, right. So differentiators are for you as a PPF company solution for that dealership. Differentiators are, you're going to have a quick turnaround for that dealership, both in scheduling as well as the installation itself will be quick. It's going to be very low comeback rate, and you're going to show possibly better installation techniques, wrapped edges, and so on. Who knows what's going on with their current PPF installer. How do you handle pricing with the dealership, especially if they're dealing with kind of maybe a lower quality installation they're used to? You're offering a better quality, but the price is always significantly more, and they also potentially have to sell it for a lot more to their customers. How do you approach that initially with the dealership?
One of the pros and cons, I mean, the really good thing if a customer comes in and can't afford PPF, of course, they're going to pay a lot more money through a dealership, but the finance guy is going to be like, look, it's $12 more per month. It's $36.95. I mean, because my dealerships are getting them $36.95 for a full front. The only reason why they're getting that is because they offer to finance. You can finance it in with your car.
Right.
Or you can pay cash. It doesn't matter. Or you can go to a third party, like some guy down the street. But the problem with that, if you take it to the guy down the street, he's cheaper, yes. But these new guys, are they going to be there tomorrow? I see a lot of people come in, they're out of business in 6 months. And people think PPF is cheap. Hey, look, your material don't cost much. Actually, yes, it does. to the average person thinks they go on eBay and see these cheap Chinese kids for like $200. I'm like, all right, you can go put that on. It doesn't matter. It's not going to last.
But like, so dealerships don't give you any kickback, or like, have you had kickback ever when you say, hey, look, full front, maybe they're used to selling it hypothetically at $29.50 and they're used to paying $13.50, and you're coming in there saying, no, you can get more money and you're going to pay more money. It doesn't make a difference to them. They're just like, no problem. Because I understand on the consumer end, they're financing it. They don't really know the price, most likely, of PPF. So if they hear 39 or they hear 32 or 29, they're not price shopping. They're protecting the thing they're excited about right now. But on the dealership level, and they say, all right, you do great work, you have great turnaround, we really like you, Tim, but your prices are way more than we're used to paying as a dealership to you.
I've run into that a lot. And of course, it comes with your quickness, your skill. I mean, if we can do 10 cars from one dealership versus the guy down the street doing 1 or 2, of course, but my price is a little bit more, they're almost willing to pay more money for that.
Because they can make more money. So you're telling them, hey, look, we're all going to make more money here. We're going to do more cars. The work's going to be better. Everybody's going to have a margin, us and you. And we're in this together, yeah?
It is. And I think it created a monster, especially with, like I said, I mentioned Chris Velez. Hi, Chris. He is my top guy. I mean, he sells the shit out of anything and everything. I mean, he just sells it. He's just magic. But
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where we all benefit. I mean, the dealership now is selling 10, 15 cars a day versus 1 or 2 in the past. And then, of course, when the dealership owner sees, dude, we just made $200,000 off of just PPF alone every month. That's $2.4 million for the specific dealership.
Right.
That means they love you. I mean, they're going to cater to you. They're going to get you paid faster. They're going to make sure that your cars are ready, because if not, they're going to get in trouble with the owner of the company. Let's say Pete Hennessy or whoever it may be. And then if it drops off, all of a sudden, hey man, what's going on? Well, Tim's not happy. He decides to get an attitude because you don't have things ready, and then it just goes downhill from then. So once they're used to a certain level of cars being done, and you start dropping down, you're like, hey, what's going on? Well, they're not ready. Well, let's get them ready for them.
Right. That makes total sense. It's everybody making money together, and like you said, they become reliant on it. It becomes a profit source, and you both have your best interests in mind, and it sounds like it's really rolling. How many dealerships? So, like within a year, maybe in this year, how many dealerships do you think you'll work within, or different locations of something like you'll be installing PPF in?
Well, we mainly focus on the Porsche dealers just because that's just the bread and butter.
So basically 2 are the main most.
Yes. And then I have we have ACW, SS Ceramic.
But most of the time you're in the Porsche dealership.
Yes.
Day in and day out.
We are. And
is there a third Porsche dealership close by?
No, but they are opening up another Porsche dealership kind of near my house, and that would be good, because I mean, Porsches we can do pretty quick. I mean, you bring a Porsche out, or you bring one of the ones we hate the most is the Genesis GV80.
Mm-hmm.
We've had to do several full cars within a month, and there's just so many pieces. We hate them.
Stealth, a lot of stealth ones.
Yes. And with that, people don't realize you have more parts. Lamborghini Urus, you just have so many more moving parts for a vehicle versus a Porsche 911. You've got 2 fenders, a hood, a bumper, a rear bumper, 2 quarters, and maybe a roof. And sometimes my guys get spoiled with a Porsche. And then we have to do a Corvette C8. You've got all those little black things in front. I think it's like 12 pieces total. 12 little pieces. It just takes more time to put every little individual piece on.
So how do you get everyone to install so much quicker than every other installer out there, is my impression. My impression is that one of your extreme strengths, your whole team, is that you all know how to get the film down fast. It's not that you just weeded the night before, and the car's prepped and ready for you, but you're putting that film down and you're moving on and you're getting it done. And like you said, there's low comebacks. There has to be. What are you willing to give away that you think is part of that like formula that makes that so fast? Are you just working faster? Are you just moving faster? Are you snapping your fingers? Like what's going on? Like,
No, it's one of the things where like I've got an installer named Lizzie. She came from Michigan, and when she first came, she's got 3 years experience, but she was slow, but she was used to an environment that would only do 1 or 2 cars a day. So a lot of these people are by the hour. They just kind of walk around, put on a fender, chit chat, whatever they do. She comes to me, and of course, I did make her cry 2 times within a week, and I felt bad for it. But we laugh about that now when she's so much faster. And but it's your technique, how you do it, how quick you want to be, and of course, it comes down to the money. I mean, nobody wants to make $20, $30 an hour. Actually, a lot of people probably do, but
but nobody's going to work at their maybe 110% potential at an hourly rate for month over month over month or year over year, right? That's kind of what it comes down to.
Of course, it all depends on the money too. But now I know what she can do. I mean, now she can somewhat keep up with me, just about. I mean, I always make fun of them. I'm 43. My employees are between 20 and 29, and I can still outdo them. I mean, but that's just part of the industry of 20 years experience. You can still hang with the young guys and drink Red Bulls, 5 hours. But of course, teaching them how I do things, because I mean, they'll come in with their own mindset of how they used to install. So you tell them to throw everything out the window. I mean, I know XPEL or whoever may get mad at me, but I mean, they train people too. You can't train people in 2 3 days and give them a certificate and say, look, these guys are great. My son started with me about 11 months. He's now to the fact where he's just okay. He's not good, but he's okay. He can do a bumper. He has a few comebacks now, and he knows it gets, it pisses me off. I'm like, dude, you're not doing it the way I taught you. Oh, Dad, I mean, I'm better like this. I'm like, no, you're not. And sometimes I feel bad for him because I'm sitting here going, well, he's my son, but I still have to be hard on him. So there's no favoritism. But I mean, for people to think, oh, I can learn this in 2 3 days, it legitimately takes about 14 months to get speed, your quality, and just everything in a whole.
In 14 months, are we talking about 14 months doing 3, 4, 5 fronts a day? Or are we talking 14 months doing 1 front a day?
No, 14 months. When my new guys come in, I'm teaching them from scratch. We're still doing 10 a day.
So like when they're touching 10 cars a day, 14 months. I'm just saying that's different than somebody touching 2 cars for 14 months. Just saying that's how many you're doing changes the experience level of the 14 months. Pointing that out if anybody else has a time frame.
Yeah. And I should have said that too, because a lot of people maybe do 5 full fronts a week. So if you're new, you're taking your time learning on 5 cars. Then it's in your mind, I can take my time on this fender to make it perfect, which you can. But again, you can't make money doing 5 full fronts a week. I mean, you can, but you can't.
I get what you're saying, right?
Yeah, at my level, if we're not doing 10 a day, something's wrong. And of course, with 10 a day, I do have overhead. People don't think I have overhead. You still have that. If I'm making money, I share it with my guys. I mean,
well, let's talk about overhead. So you have installation costs, which are your installers. You obviously have film costs. Other than that, what else do you have as far as either overhead or expenses?
To be honest, that would probably be it. It's just,
which is fucking amazing. Just so you know, I'm sure you know.
You said that really quick. You're like, that's fucking amazing.
Of course, because the first thing that somebody would probably do is go, we should get a shop and we should do this and we should blah, blah, blah. And like, do you know what I mean? And I think part of what's so impressive about the model you built was not only just the volume, but the profitability of it and the manageability. You have 5 staff doing over $4 million in retail. That could easily be 20 staff, which you'd have less hair on your head if it was.
Oh yeah, no. I started losing my hair on my ass cheeks too. I mean, going back to that, I've always thought about this. I mean, I've always wanted a brick and mortar. I've always wanted this really, really nice location, like PFS or whatnot. And then Chris Hardy once told me, he goes, hey man, you have the best business model. I said, why? I said, you have no overhead. You don't have the nicest showroom. You don't, actually I do. because I work at a Porsche. You can't beat that. You have AC, you have prime real estate. I mean, I bring my retail clients want to come book with me. I tell them book through Porsche. Why? Well, you get 3 warranties at the same time. You get the Porsche warranty, you get my warranty, and you get a warranty from XPEL. And then, of course, now going back to the overhead. I mean, there is no overhead. There is no advertising. I have my finance guys selling it, pitching it. There's no. I don't have any reviews. I don't need reviews. I mean, people's like, "Oh, Tim Ham, the hookers and cocaine guy." Yes, that's word of mouth. I don't give a $50 discount for you to go leave me a 5-star rating. To me, that's just fake. Because I see people with like 500 ratings. I'm like, how many times do you have time to actually leave a review?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
I just had my air conditioning fixed today. I left him a review.
Okay, but you had the time and you were happy. You probably talked.
Send me an automatic message. I was super fucking happy. My AC broke. It's 115 degrees out. I was really happy they fixed it, and I definitely left them a review. I know what you're saying. It's a different model. You're not in any way. The reviews are not what you're needing. You've set yourself up in a place that handles the roof over your head, the AC. They have bathrooms. They have customers. They do the sales. They give you a space, like they do all those things. So you don't, yeah.
They don't just have bathrooms. They have a little bidet thing that opens up and squirts your butt. I mean, you can't get no better than that.
Which you're shining a completely different perspective on dealership work for sure.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And the fact that you have no overhead means you can pay your staff better than maybe somebody who does have overhead. Right. And you also have more profit, and you can maybe, I mean, I love it. Just, I absolutely beyond in love with your business model. And I think it's easily one that you could keep quiet forever because it's that unique and special. So I really, really do think it's very kind of you that you share this, because you've carved out a very unique business. And it's not just like, hey, Tim has a really nice glass storefront, or like Tim, whatever. Like, no, Tim makes a lot of money because there's a lot of margin. And what that also means is, like, your business not only is strong during this good times, but if there was bad times, you're the easiest to pivot possibly, because you don't have the overhead that can eat you up and really like put you back 10 years that you built up. You could be renting a 5,000 square foot place and have a big team. I think you can do that over 10 years. And then in 2 bad years, you can lose your entire team. You'll lose your entire rent, and you'll be starting again for the next 10 years. That can happen. And it can't happen to you because the way you've built your business.
Which is very true. I mean, again, and it's not going to affect my credit. And a lot of people ask me, am I worried about the future? Actually, I'm not, because I don't deal with Toyotas. We deal with high-end cars.
What does that mean? Are you worried about the future? Meaning what? Like, what part of the future?
So let's pretend we run into another pandemic or whatnot, which whenever COVID happened, nothing happened to me, actually. We got busier.
Chip shortage, car shortage, everyone's home, and interest rates are high, and there's not many cars and nobody's buying them. That's like doomsday potentially. You're not worried. Tell me more.
And the reason for that is because we deal with the rich people. We don't deal with the medium or the poor people. Somebody who buys Porsche is always going to buy a Porsche. I mean, if these guys are millionaires, they don't really care. Somebody in the medium class is like, look, man, I can't afford this Toyota today or this Honda. Now, and then I'm not working, job's not doing great. They're going to have to back off from buying PPF or whatever it may be. I mean, but the rich guy, he doesn't care. He's already got in his mindset, well, I need a bunch of tax write-offs. Let me go buy a Ferrari, a Porsche, and a new Lamborghini and buy PPF. And he doesn't think twice about it because his business is still going, and he needs his tax write-offs. So they're just going to check, let me buy it. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It makes me think about your tax write-offs, because you obviously have like a fleet of Porsches and beautiful collection. Obviously, like, look, they're your customer, so you want to buy cars from them and so on, and they're incredible cars, so you want to buy them too. But is it also like a very savvy financial decision as well, or is that kind of where it ends?
It is. My CPA, he's actually on IRS tax board, and he's been doing my taxes since I was 17. And he told me, he was like, Tim, why don't you use a fleet of Honda Pilots? I'm like, well, the difference is if I show up to do a car in a Honda Pilot, you don't look as successful to a man that's a multimillionaire that's buying a shit ton of cars, versus if you show up in a new Cayenne, you'll get more respect from your clients as well. Because I mean, again, if somebody shows up to do your AC, I don't want to know, bad analogy.
I know
To
what you're saying. I know
yeah,
what you're saying completely. And look, you see a guy in a Ferrari or in a Porsche GT3, you kind of go, what does he do? And like, oh, you're like interested. He's like, well, I have a bookstore. You're like, a bookstore? That's incredible. Tell me more about this bookstore. Like, as opposed to like, if they're in a Honda Civic, you'd be like, not interested at all.
no. I mean, are you a business owner? Do you do well enough to? You want the guy to be making enough money to say, look, he's going to be there. He's not driving a shitty
You're not
car.
a guy that's going to steal from somebody. If you have a GT3, you don't look like you're trying to rip me off, because you clearly are doing well, right? Like you must be good at what you do too,
Mhm.
you know?
Well, with that being said, I mean, me having keys to locations, some of my people are felons. I'm a felon. I mean, I try to hire somebody if you're a felon. It actually makes me feel better because they have something to prove. And I think one of the locations like, hey, why would we give you a key? First off, my guys make plenty of money. They actually make business owner money. I mean, let's just be real here. And why I do that is because nobody can actually hire my guys and pay them what I pay them. Because first off, they're not busy.
Which is a really, really important thing. I'm just noting, if you want to keep really, really great people, you have to pay them more than other people are going to pay them. Typically, give them an opportunity that's greater. I'm just saying in general, to keep really good people. That's key. So you have to set your business up in a way that you're profitable enough to be able to pay your staff really well. And like, it's not just in our industry, but you see that in cases like UPS or In-N-Out, and you see like these high paying places that, Bucky's, and they'll pay $30 an hour for a manager. And that's why when you go in there, things are so like orderly and polite and going well. Anyway, so important point is that I believe you that they make business owner money.
Yeah.
How much does your top, can you say like a top installer in a year makes, round to the nearest $50,000? Where are they at? Does it start with a 1 or a 2?
Well, I do have two new guys. One of them is my son. I mean, I don't treat my son any different than an employee. There's no favoritism with me. He starts at the very bottom, pay scales. I have two installers that's under six figures. Everyone else is over six figures.
Okay.
And then if I told you what my top guys make, you're gonna be like, "Holy fucking shit! You really pay that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do." But yeah, I don't want to say that because there's
That's
other.
fine. No.
Yeah,
We got it. Like, I
yeah,
got the range already.
yeah. The range is like all over the place. But
Yeah.
but going back to the cars, of course I do have to buy Porsches. They support me. I mean, I have to support them. So if I showed up at a Ford F-150 or a Range Rover, they're gonna be like, "What the fuck, Tim? We pay you plenty of money. Why don't you support a brand?"
Of
They've never
course.
said that, but Porsche's great cars. Maintenance is low cost. I mean, if you have a Ferrari, you put 15,000 miles on it, you got to get a new clutch. I mean, that's $10,000 right there. That's a lot of money. Take
Porsche
you
is a driver's car for sure. Like, it's a car you can actually drive.
yes. But all right, next question. I just had a blank brain fart.
So what what's next? Like, not that there has to be something next. There's nothing has to be next. You can have a finely tuned machine of a business that you feel is running perfectly and it's at scale and you're happy. Or are you like, within the next 5 years, do you have your mindset on something?
I do. I mean, I do properties right now with which I do some investing here and there. I'm not going to go all into it. And of course, I have my little side things where if you need some Rolexes or something custom, I have several guys I work with that I can get you what you need, still make a little bit of money. Legos, everyone knows I have a huge Lego collection for a reason. And I was telling someone the other day, it's actually a better investment in gold. Amazon, you buy Lego speed cars, wait till they go on sale before they're discontinued. It's $12. You give it a year of sitting there. I always buy at least 100 of each one. It's already up to $50. So
You always buy at least what? of each one?
You know, I always buy at least 100
100 what?
of each of the sets. And
So
these
if
look,
there's a Lego set,
yes.
it goes on sale. You buy a quantity 100 of the Lego sets.
Well, it depends. I mean, it has to be like Speed Champions. They use Chevy, Porsche. They
Okay.
only have the rights for the cars for so long, and then they have to rebuy the rights. But once it's discontinued, it goes up.
Where do you
Like,
put them all in your house?
yeah, I've got a little vault, which maybe later we'll walk back there. And I mean, it's full to the ceiling. Everything's perfectly stacked. Um,
So basically, okay, circling back to the question. So next 5 years, where do you see yourself? It's not so much your business growth. It's kind of like using that business to continue to be able to fund investments and make
yeah.
other, real estate, Legos, Louis Vuitton, maybe.
No, last night I thought about doing my own purse line, and
You have a purse collection now.
I do. I wear one every couple hours. I put on Louis Vuitton. I prance around in high heels in the mirror, of course. And people's like, "What the hell's wrong with
That's
this?"
why we did it after 9 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. I didn't want to be that guy. Talk business first, then get crazy after. And people are like, dude, you're always at Louis Vuitton. Why are you always showing off? You get a lot of haters from that. And let me tell you, it's not me showing off that I just bought. Look, I just bought a new phone. Blah blah blah. Actually, this phone's a 20. It's a 13. It's not even new. I don't give a shit. The Louis Vuitton is I buy tier one stuff, which that means you can't go and buy it. It's like me buying a Porsche GT3, GT3 RS. You establish a relationship with Louis Vuitton, and then of course a lot of the stuff I put up, it goes in the vault. It's more of an investment for 3 to 5 years. So let's say a PPF does really bad for me personally. Tomorrow I'm broke,
No, you
but I
won't be. How would you be broke tomorrow? Hold
no,
on.
I'm just saying.
You mean income wise? Maybe it goes stops.
So something goes south.
Okay.
I have over 300,000 in film that's paid for. So all my profits I reinvest into the business. So you've got a lot of business owners that wear a Rolex and have a Ferrari, but they don't have 2 rolls of film, and they have to next day their next roll for the car tomorrow.
Do you really see a lot of those people? Like, are there a lot of Ferrari dealer, like Ferrari owners in the tint and PPF world that don't have 2 rolls of fucking PPF in their shop right now?
Oh no, I mean I see a lot of
I'm
guys.
just curious.
I
Yeah.
see a lot of guys with nice watches and whatnot, but I also hear
It's
the
because of
story.
you. Because the fucking you walk around with that blinged out watch. So like they got to put on a watch.
They do. I mean, but I love my watch collection. I have to blame Hardy for that because he got me into watches, but it's an investment. It's not because I'm buying them because I can. Well, I can, but
I
it's
get
because
it. They're investments. You're
yeah,
buying things that are unique, limited edition. Yeah, it could be Louis Vuitton. Yeah, it could be a diamond watch, or it could be a car, whatever it is. But you're looking for those like unique or Legos rather. You're looking for the unique ones. You're not just buying Legos. You're buying the unique Legos. You're buying investments, things that are going to be going up in value that you can hang on to.
hmm and people think I'm showing off, and the reason why I do the Louis Vuitton thing is my um, my rep
Mm-hmm.
makes a commission off of Louis Vuitton. I don't get discounts. Nobody gets discounts off of Louis Vuitton. But whenever I say I'm here, this is my boy Marvin. He's who I shop with. That's now all my friends are going to use him as a go-to, which has actually worked. And it's not for me to show off that I'm spending $20,000, $30,000. It's me going, look, use this guy. He's trustworthy. Same thing with the watches. If I've
Mm-hmm.
ever bought one, I've always got the business owner with me. Buy from him, buy from Tony, Max, DJ, whoever it may be. So it's not showing off. It's also what I'm investing into because now I have friends that say, "Hey, I'm going to start investing in Legos," and a lot of them have actually. They're like, "Oh my God, you're fucking right." James Parker is one who took my little class. Now he's number one in the state with PPF. And at one point, he came here for a week for training, and he's seen my collection. Next thing you know, he's buying a bunch of Legos. But the thing that I told him, the moment you see it's going to go up, you're going to want to sell it. And guess what he did? He bought them. They doubled. He sold them right away. And then he texted me later, "Hey man, if I would have waited 6 more months, I could have got triple the value." I'm like, it's a waiting game. It's kind of like you buy something now, you wait X amount of time, it's just going to go up. And the reason why it's going to go up is first it's discontinued. You can't buy it no more. So that means people like you. Let's pretend that you wanted a set, you couldn't afford it at the time. Now you can afford it. It's triple the money, but you really want it because it's something from your past,
Yeah.
you're still going to pay that money for it. And even if you opened it and played with it, it's still never going to lose value. You're still going to get more than what you paid. Actually, I was getting ready to do that too. But yeah, but people don't realize I collect different things. I make money in anything in any industry, from old school toys to antique furniture. I mean, possibilities are endless.
It's a good example what you just explained, because like when I met you a few years ago, you told me about the Lego thing and you explained it, like genuinely clearly explained it, like showed me the listings, like you remember, like showed me listings. Look, this is what I paid. This is what it's going for now. And like, you showed me with sneakers, like you showed me these things. And what I'm saying is like, it's clear your intentions are to share what's you're doing and what works with you, with the people around you and your friends. But that same, like you said, you sharing that online could, to somebody who doesn't know you, come across like you're bragging. So it's like literally the same action. Your intention is your intention, but it could come across that way. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it in any sort of fashion. I'm saying like it's always better to stay with an open mind, because even if you were bragging, wouldn't it be something to learn what you're doing? Like if you're somebody else, to learn from you. I'd want to learn from you anyway. Like, good, I'm glad you're bragging. Let's get to what you're doing, because I want to brag too. So anyway, I appreciate that about you, is that, and it's a definitely a different thing when you know Tim versus obviously just simply seeing like snapshots of you online.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where who you surround yourself with. I tell my son this all the time. Back in the day, I used to hang out with people that always drink, always want to party. And then I was one of them. And then I finally got a different mindset and got rid of those friends. And then I was like, wait a minute. Now my friends are business owners or people that are well off. So you're trying to be like them. You're trying to seek out what they're doing differently. They're putting in 10, 15-hour days versus 9 to 5s or whatnot. So I always try to surround myself with people that are doing better than me. So that way I have a motive. Before I used to drive, basic cars. Now I'm driving Porsches, or now I can drive brand new Porsches. What's next for me? So now I need a new mindset and new friends, because I want that Pagani, or I want that Urus or something of that nature. I mean, it's like, on Facebook says I'm married to Rob Lewis. He's actually a really good friend of mine, well off. And he approached me not too long ago. Hey, Tim, here's an investment opportunity into this movie called Takeover with Quavo, Billy Zane, and a bunch of other people. We did the filming last year. Of course, Chris Hardy got to come down and visit the set, and so did Zach. And I think I was somewhere else. I was on vacation, but they got to go visit. And people are like, why did you invest into a movie? It's usually they usually fail and don't make money. I'm like, first off, it's scared money doesn't make money. So for me, I'm like, look, I can invest X amount of money. It's guaranteed for life anyway. So I mean, I'll still get dividends. Whether I make a bunch of money now or not make any money. I mean, if I lost the money, then who cares? I'm going to write the shit off on the taxes anyway. So, but
you have enough to make the investment, and you have time and you have income. So that's why, right? Like that's the whole thing.
It is, but scared money doesn't make money. I mean,
right.
If I was scared to invest in PPF back in the day, then, I mean, who knew that it was going to be this good? Because let's rewind 20 years. People ask me, Tim, how did you get into this business? And this is a great story. I had a Honda S2000. This is in 2000. This was Nobi Nationals. I was in the Wheels Direct booth. That's how I met David. He had his little speed film booth with a Honda Civic in it. But he approached me and said, hey, Tim, or he introduced himself. And he said, hey, come check out his booth. And he was asking me about rock chips and showed me the front of my car. It was always pitted because I was in the performance business and body kits and whatnot. Excuse me. So I went to the booth. He had a damn black Honda Civic. And I'm like, motherfucker, I thought you said you own a S2000. Which he did later, I found out. But PPF back then looked like shit when you first put it on. I mean, it was like cardboard. It was 3M. I mean, you stop your squeegee, you have a line. But I wasn't worried about the lines or what it looked like. I was worried about not having rock chips. So you rewind 20 years ago, you didn't care what it looked like. I just don't want rock chips. And so that's kind of how I got into it. So I I was like one of his first customers. We did it on every one of my cars, and I'm like, shit, this is pretty cool. But how do you market something that you cannot visually see? This is something actually I'm glad I stuck with, because I mean, 2005-ish, it started taking off a little more. 2009 is when it really took off. But at that point, you're trying to sell something that's completely invisible to the naked eye. I mean, a customer's going to spend $1,500. You can't see what he just did to his car. Versus you buy a set of wheels for $1,500. Boom, you got some chrome. And it was just something that I'm kind of glad I stuck with. Because if not, I would still be, another thing people don't know about me, I was once in the marijuana business about 6 years ago. I had 4 facilities in California. Hence, I got another felony for that one because I decided to try to drive 75 pounds over to Georgia because I had it sold. And I was tired of waiting on the slow money in California.
Sure.
Luckily for that one, they only gave me 2 years probation in a illegal state. But because I had all my licenses and whatnot, and I gave them a stupid story. But yeah, that right there is another one of my parts of my felony. But I was in the marijuana business for about 5 years. It's funny, my business partner from then called me. Now he's wanting to do PPF. And I'm like, why? I mean, you're making good money. But now that it became Prop 64 or whatever it is, as marijuana gets more legal, the prices go down.
Sure.
So back in the day, $2,400 a pound. Now it's down to $1,200 for the best stuff. And people don't know that if you're using Aptus brand to grow your weed, just a little bottle is fucking like $300 to feed we call them girls. Because if you got boys, they have seeds. You don't want seeds in your weed. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. I mean, I've tried to venture out in all types of business. I've been in the drug game. I've been in this. I've been in that. I've flipped cars before. My passion is PPF. I actually enjoy it. I don't mind the 16-hour days. Or I like toys. I mean, if you see my toy collection, you're like, holy shit, dude, you have Ghostbuster stuff, Back to the Future. You can see the Ghostbuster stuff there.
Currently in your theater room, it looks like?
Yeah, theater room.
So, go ahead.
No, I was like, this is the quietest. I have the midget strippers upstairs, so they're sleeping right now.
We're going to go for a tour in a minute here.
I will.
How long have you been an XPEL dealer?
I started in 2018. Before then, it was Suntech, and I've got like 8 awards in a row. And I've always been friends with Mike Mayall and the guys at XPEL. They've always tried to get me to switch. And I said, and 2 years prior to that, Mayall had called me. He's like, Tim, we want you to switch. We really need you. I'm like, well, you send me a kit for my Cayenne. I'm going to install it, and I'm going to beat the shit out of it. That means I'm not going to wash it. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. Let me test out your product. And he did. So 2 years later, and they never bugged me. Nobody ever bugs me to switch. They know if I'm ready, I will switch. I'm not married to anybody. I did test the product. Everything worked great. I did make the switch, and I'm glad I did. I mean, it's one of the best materials out there. I mean, I do test other brands too, quietly, because I don't want to put all my eggs into one basket. So if somebody did have a brand, yes, I did test one product. I can't name the names. In 10 months, it turned brown. I'm like, what the fuck, guys? They flew somebody out here. They looked at it. Tim, you don't wash your car? I'm like, no. Why? I'm like, I'm going to treat it just like if a client just bought PPF. It's a woman on a minivan. She's going to drive it, never wash her car, live in the snow. And you want to test it where your customer's going to test it. They're buying it for a reason. But if it turns brown within 10, 11, 12 months, you've got an issue. And I don't want to have the cheapest brand. I mean, I don't want to carry the cheap Chinese stuff. I know a lot of my clients, they keep their cars 2 years. So, I mean, I can actually carry the cheap stuff and put it on. Nobody would actually know, but I do. So I'd rather spend the money for the more expensive product, and better, of course.
Film aside, like installation and longevity and durability of film aside, is there other aspects of XPEL that make you happy to be an XPEL dealer, whether it be relationships, within the dealer network of other dealers, could be relationships with XPEL staff. It could be consumer awareness, or could be anything I didn't mention. What are your thoughts?
To be honest, I guess I've grown with a reputation. Everybody knows who I am, which is good. With XPEL, I mean, you have Hardy, you have all the execs, you have my reps, even the employees. They call me daily. They want to check up on me. They want to make sure, you're good. I mean, of course, if you got a really good client that spends a bunch of money, you're going to want to make sure he's happy. I don't know what you want to call that. What would you call that?
Taking care of your customers.
You can, but how about if somebody says, "Well, I'm a little guy, I only spend $50,000 a year," but they don't do that for me? Then what?
They should not do everything, like not everything necessarily, right? Because it's a budget. You could look at it like a budget, right? Your budget with a small client is going to be smaller than your budget with a large client. So your resources and so on, that's normal. Or you could try to lay it out even playing field. That's a company thing. I don't mean they should, but I just mean you'd want everybody to feel the same sort of appreciation, ideally. Go ahead.
You do, but because I have some people say, look, they don't call me as often. They don't do that. But if you have a rep, let's say Jason Carr's a new rep, it's hard for him. He's in Myrtle Beach. He has half of Georgia. It's hard for him to take the time out of his day to visit 20, 30 locations and keep everybody happy, which I understand that too. So, I mean, you don't want to ever get a call from XPEL going, "Hey guys, we're going to drop you." Actually, I'd rather not even hear from my guys, because sometimes I am working and they'll get mad at me. Yeah, you, Chris Hardy.
But like support wise, other than friendship, potentially, what does Tim Ham look for in support from a company like XPEL? If there's anything more, because they're giving you a great, they're not giving you, they're selling you, obviously. You're purchasing a great product that you love and your customers love. There's obviously, like, I believe, friendships between you and many people at XPEL. Other than that, is there anything you require as a customer from XPEL as far as support goes on a weekly or monthly basis, to where you're like, hey, I reach out and they take care of it, or hey, I'm glad they reach out to me because I really needed XYZ from time to time?
It's one of those things where a lot of their guys have to order online or whatnot. Like me, I get some special treatment where I can just text my rep what I need, because he understands I don't have the time to log on to take 10 minutes out of a fucking computer, because I legitimately don't. I'm computer illiterate. Hence, me trying to download this thing to get on my
Fucking killed it on this. I don't know what you're talking about.
I know, but still, I have one computer just for cutting.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Need anything from XPEL at 3 a.m, somebody's going to answer the phone. I don't.
Okay, so easy ordering is really nice, and ordering something everybody does all the time. You're always ordering. You're going to be ordering forever. So easy ordering is a value for sure.
And I don't want to just say them. I mean, it's just anybody, because I mean, if I've ever made a phone call to Autobahn, they've always answered the phone. If I've called,
right. It's not to say that nobody else does this. I'm just wondering what they do for if they're, what you appreciate about them. Look, the way you present yourself, right, Tim? You present XPEL really on the forefront, I believe. Like when I see Tim, you see XPEL, right? You don't see like Felony Film as much as you see XPEL. So I'm wondering where that alliance comes from, and because it's obviously very strong. And
it is.
Yeah.
It's mainly just having no issues. I mean, I barely have issues with the film. I mean, if I ever did, they take care of it. If I have an issue, and they took care of an issue for me in New York not too long ago, which Porsche dealership over promises, customer gets pissed off that he had to buy it through the dealership versus using his guy. And of course, there's a few bubbles here and there. He wanted this, and this replaced. And then next thing you know, he wants the whole thing replaced. And XPEL actually stepped in and was like, Tim, we don't really have issues. We're going to step in and take care of this for you. They didn't have to. But it's something that doesn't happen much with me, because even if I mess up something, or if it's a warranty issue, I never call them over a HUD or whatever it may be. But if I did call them, Tim, we have you. Don't worry about it. Customer service goes a long way. Of course, being, the friendships. But I'm friends with everybody, so you can't really use that. But customer service. I mean, but some people may not get the same customer service that I do. So,
Well, and look, that can be the case with just there's different reps, right? That handle different customers, and every rep is different, and there's different customer service agents you might be in touch with, and so that's normal, I would
yeah.
imagine.
Yeah,
Variety.
and if I don't like my rep, I've hung up on some of the XPEL reps before when they're new. I'm like, dude, if you have to ask somebody, don't call me. And I literally just hung up.
This isn't good.
Well, but I have to get along with whoever I'm dealing with, because if you don't get my personality, which we'll go to that in a second, I'm calm. Like right now, I'm just being kind of calm. But last night, whenever I was out with Jimmy, he designs women's clothes, and again, I was saying earlier that I want to design my own purse line. And whenever I design my own purse line, I'm not talking about a $20 purse. I'm talking about $10,000 purse. If you want something with my name on it, I'm going to do 20 of them, $10,000. Anyway, we'll go through that later. So that's my next maybe avenue of what I want to do is start designing. He's been designing women's dresses and wedding stuff, and he's been doing it 15 years. But I kind of want to get in that one day.
What if somebody wants to learn everything you do? Do you offer training? They don't want to work for you. They live across the country, but they want to be like you.
I've had people come to me. It's about 2,000, sometimes 2,500 a day. You have to catch me in a good mood. James Park is one of them. Ryan Yago, Brian, I think his last name's Owen. But I'm proud of those guys because I've seen them. They've come here and paid my money per day just to watch me. And at the end of the day, I always say, what did you learn? And they always tell me, Tim, we learned a lot. But of course, now I see these guys doing big numbers. I mean, James Park, he's now #1 with XPEL in Washington. And he's growing at a phenomenal fucking rate. I'm like, bro. But I mean, I legitimately yelled at him so much. He even puts the toilet seat down to pee. Sorry, James, I just had to say that. But I'm really anal because I don't like pee drips on toilets. I like things a specific way.
Yeah.
And if you're staying in my house, please respect it. But if somebody wants training, yes, I do offer that. I'm not Mike Norg or all these other guys. I'm going to teach you what I learned. I'm going to yell at you because you're not paying me this much money for you to be like, "No, I'm sorry, Eric. Remember next time." No, bro.
There's fucking room in between being like, "I'm sorry, Eric," and then yelling at me.
I'm like, "Fuck you."
There's like that's a pretty broad spectrum. You're like, "I'm gonna fucking yell at you." Maybe you could just tell me what you want me to do. You don't have to fucking yell. But whatever, that's fine. At least you're telling people up front that they're paying to get yelled at, so they know.
Yeah, but I do tell them that. I'm going to say, look, man, you're paying me obscene amount of money to watch me. There's a reason why I charge a stupid amount of money. It might not be a lot of money to learn.
$2,500 a day. Is that the rate?
Yeah, about 25.
Could it be 22? You said about 25. So 20 will work? 2,000 will work?
Yeah, let's say 25. Just
call 2,000 even a day.
Yeah, let's say 2,000.
All right. Got everybody down $500 a day just now. I saved you $500.
There you go. There you go.
Go ahead.
But the thing is, you don't because a lot of people come to me and did this and they tapped out fucking 12 hours into it. I think Elu tapped out and some other people from Florida. I'm like, dude, you guys are paying me all this money to.
Hold on. What are we saying here? They started at 8 a.m. in the morning with you. And then you're saying maybe by 8 p.m. they're like, all right, I'm going to go get some dinner. And you were like, wait. What's going on?
No.
What's this 12 hours thing? What are you talking about?
Like James Park, we started at, I think we ran maybe 16 hours straight.
So you started
maybe 6 and done by 4 in the morning. I don't know.
You started 6 a.m. and then you're done by 4 in the morning. That's 22 hours of work.
But he was like, hey, can we go get dinner? And it was like 2 in the morning. I'm like, this is James Park.
You're like, we got to go weed patterns for tomorrow. We're about to start work for tomorrow. In 2 hours, we got to get back here.
He wanted to go eat dinner, which me and him didn't eat all day. It's just Red Bulls and cigarettes. And again, James Park, I mean, great guy.
We finally got to the secret behind what's going on here.
No. Yeah, there is no food. The reason for no food is because if you take a lunch, you get fatigued. If you eat too much, you don't want to. Yeah. But for me, Red Bulls. So we're not. Again, I'm getting older. It's like me needing Viagra if I can't get it up. I don't fucking know. So this right here is my Viagra stuff. What the hell was the subject again?
Viagra. We were talking about Viagra.
Yeah. Well, but they don't endorse me, so I'm not even going to say Viagra. So unless they're going to send me a check.
We were talking about Eliu
Oh, yeah.
and James not being able to make it past 22 hours straight.
Well, no. James, he endured it.
Okay.
On that Friday, he wanted to take that Friday off and go get some rest and whatnot. I said, all right, you already did Monday through Thursday. You're good.
So he worked like 20 hours for 4 days and then asked for maybe a day to.
Yeah.
So,
And then I told him I'm going to take their money and buy me a new watch with it anyway. Because I mean,
so okay, let me ask you this real quick. Is you definitely install fast, you definitely have cars prepped and so on, but how big of a part of your success is just working insane amounts of hours that most people probably can't fit into their life? Because I can tell you with certainty, there is no chance in this planet that I'll spend the next 10 years working 22 hours a day or 19 hours a day every day for the next years. No fucking way. That's not for me. Not 19 hours working.
okay.
Then,
Well,
so like, what is that a big part of this ingredients, or like, is that just,
it is.
it just never stops? Like, what's going on here?
Look, so I grew up poor. I mean, you know,
I grew up wanting a lot of things, feeling poor. I wasn't super poor, but I felt poor because I was around people that had more things. So like, I get that desire to never want to be wanting for something and maybe feeling like, hey, no, but I don't have anybody to fall back on. I've got to make this happen and I'll never put myself in. I get all that, but like, you're talking hours that, unless you're genetically gifted, will exhaust and burn out any person. Am I crazy?
No. Well, it depends. I love what I do. I love the fact that I like money. I mean, because whenever you never had it as a kid, and now I like to walk into the store and be like, I don't have to think about, can I afford that? I know one of my installers said the same thing. I said, Alex, how does it feel to go on vacation? Like before, he used to have to look at his bank account. Can I afford? Now he can just be like, his wife can not think about when they go on vacation. They can just spend freely and not
I
worry.
know, but you're not going to have a wife if you work 20 hours a day to go on vacation because you're never going to see the person. Like, you don't look exhausted. So like, I'm curious how you've been fucking working 20 hours a day or 18 hours a day.
No, it goes back to, well, for me it's seven days a week, but I'm more motivated. But today I slept most of the day. I was exhausted. But with my installers, there's just 5 days.
Okay, so they're working 5 days. How many
Like,
hours approximately? Like,
you
again,
know,
round it to a
let's just
random.
let's just round it. Let's just round it at 8 hours, because I mean, if you have two teams,
That's it? 8 hours a day? That's not bad. I'm just saying 8 hours
no,
is
no, no.
a lot. It's like not a big day.
There's maybe end of the month they may have to put in 14, maybe 2-3 days
Oh, that's not.
out of a month, and then you have your beginning of the week. Sometimes we might do, like, I think the other day there were 6 cars, so I split them up to 2 teams. 6 cars. It's maybe 4 or 5 hours. Once they're done, they can go home. I don't care.
So, okay, so maybe where I took the conversation off track was maybe I confused when somebody's paying you the big bucks to come train per day, you want to maximize the full day and every minute of that day to make sure they leave with value. Yeah. That's not actually how the normal workflow is. It's just for training.
No, and they always ask me, Tim, when's the best time to come? I tell them, come at the end of the month. Why? End of the month is when the dealerships have a deadline. They have to close everything out. End of the month is your busiest, which we all know that in the dealer world. So I tell them, come at the end of the month, and I tell them, come prepared. And they say, okay. So they always come in. Usually they'll rent a car, they'll meet me, or sometimes they'll ride with me. But I require, if you're experienced and you know what you're doing, 2 days. I mean, that's $4,000.
You have a fleet of Porsches. I feel like nobody's renting a car.
You know, if they want to rent a car for me, I would rent them one. I'm not just going to give them a car. I mean,
fair enough.
I could, but what goes wrong? But I also explained to them, what if you can learn one thing? And I always use this stupid ass analogy. If you're on your deathbed, pretend you're about to die tomorrow, Eric. You have 5 minutes. You can gain 5 more minutes. Is it worth that $2,000 for 5 more minutes of life? Is $1 million worth it? Yes.
Anything
for 5 more minutes with a loved one. I'm like, so you're spending $2,000 with me for a day to get faster. So let's say you've learned one technique from me, which everybody learns at least something. Because if you don't, I'm not going to charge you, but you're going to learn something. If you can save yourself 5 minutes per install, then it's going to turn into 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 40 minutes. Now you're going to be able to, instead of doing one full front a day, you're going to be doing 3 or 4. Was that worth your $4,000 investment for 2 days?
For sure. For
And
sure.
this is just watching how I do things, how I execute from, and I'm going to explain every little thing I do. And for me to explain, it's going to take me more time out of my day to keep explaining. You're going to learn how I plot things. You're going to learn how I install, how I heat my edges, the reasons why I do these. And then we're going to go through your business, and I'm going to tell you, what's wrong here, what's wrong there, your approach to a dealership, your approach to customers. I mean, I'm not going to tell everybody to, I always try to talk customers out of things. I mean, got this one guy, Thomas, he likes to buy cars. And I always try to talk him out of doing full cars. He just bought a G-Wagon. I did my best to just talk him just a full front. And then he's like, no, I want the whole damn thing. I'm like, dude, man, you only need just a front. But Tim, what would you do? I always do my whole car because first, yes, I am anal. Second, it's my business to have the whole car done. And then as soon as you tell customers that, they want the whole damn thing. So now instead of doing full fronts, now we're doing a lot of whole cars, which is good. It's magnificent. I mean, but it just takes more out of the day. And but just seeing people grow. Hopefully somebody watches this. I don't tell all my secrets at one time. Now, if you take my class, which I don't even advertise, I don't really care. If somebody wants to show up and learn something, cool. I'll take your money. I'll give you some secrets, and hopefully you're number one like James Park, Ryan. There you go. James just moved from Midnight or Chicago to go work for James Park. He's also now got a fleet of employees now that he's moved from other places in the U.S. to go work for him. I mean, it's kind of being like me, but I'm kind of trying to teach my guys from scratch. I don't even know what the top subject was.
The subject was, if somebody wants to be like Tim, but they don't want to work for Tim and they live in some other part of the country, can they get training? And the answer is approximately $200 to $2,500 a day, and come ready to learn, because it's going to be a long day. Don't expect to eat. You'll eat when you're done with the training, which will be at the end of the week.
Yeah.
And come at the end of the month, because that's when you're going to have a lot of cars to be able to learn from.
Well, I want them to see that, yes, 10 cars is possible per day. And the guys that actually have come, because, a lot of people doubt what we do. And we've seen that with the PPF Magazine. Everybody doubted it. If you really do the math, it's pretty simple. If I'm doing 8 cars a day at X amount of dollars, that's sustainable. And what people don't realize is, and the people that's come here have noticed, Tim, oh my gosh, we've never seen you do a C8 in 51 minutes flat with all the little pieces. Or, well, it's 2 people, it's me and Junior. Of course, some of my newer guys, they're not as fast. But when they come for the training, they actually see the jobs complete. They're wow. They're like, holy shit. But the people that don't see it are the ones that doubt you. I'm like, dude, that can't be done, which it can be. Never say can't.
That's really an interesting and accurate fact about like pace that I believe a lot in, is when you see somebody's system and pace, it can change your whole. You see, like, it's hard to imagine it and believe it, but once you see it, it's real and you can replicate it and do it. And it goes from being something that you can't understand how it happens to going, oh, it not only happens, but maybe there's even a little room for improvement. There can even, you take it a little further. So like the fact that you give people access, even at $2,000, which, like you said, isn't a lot of money,
No.
In a business for training and how much you're going to get out of it. The access alone, I think, is impressive. Are you going to be competing at WFCT this year?
It's funny you say that, because I mean, Dean had reached out to me, Chris Hardy. I didn't have time to register. I think I registered last fucking minute, 12 o'clock midnight. I know.
You shouldn't even have had to register. I feel like
no, and I reached out
for you.
It should have already been there, but I reached out to Donna Stivers, and she has me on the list to be the next person in case somebody drops out. I mean,
okay.
I like these events. I've never won one. I've never even advanced. I mean, to me, if I did win, I'm just going to donate the money anyway to Dean. Because, I mean, if I've ever won one of these, people
You
like,
mean Tinters for a Cause by
yeah,
Dean, you mean for Tinters for a Cause, the nonprofit charity.
yes.
Go ahead.
And I always get a lot of questions. Why would you donate your money? I'm like, first off, I have money. I don't give a shit. If I win, I know a lot of these guys here go there to try to win the money because maybe they want to buy something, catch up on bills, or maybe buy some more film. I don't know. And people are like, wouldn't you piss people off? I'm like, no, actually, I don't think so. I'm donating to a cause for other people. I'm not taking it for myself. I'm not giving it away. We're giving it to somebody that may need it. Like these other people that compete, yes, they may need it too. But for me, I mean, I don't need it. Do I want the recognition? I already know who I am. Do I need to win a trophy to say I'm the best? I mean, if you don't think you're the best, you're not going to complete your jobs. That's one of the things that motivates me per day is, hey, Tim, you can't do this. Yeah, I can. Watch this. Our max is 19 cars. We're never going to pass that because we're all tired. But yeah, the what was that? The competition. I'm going to bring my stuff. I'm probably going to drive. That way, I actually have my stuff with me, my spray bottles and things that are actually mine. And yes, I will try to focus on maybe winning and maybe be the first person to actually give the money away, just to be like, I mean, can you believe just a recognition? Tim won and he just gave it away just freely, whatever. But it's more,
Tinters for a Cause at that. That's very.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I would give it to you too, but you look handsome. You don't look like you need Botox
Thank
or
you, Tim. I
fillers. Yeah,
appreciate it.
you look great.
Tinters for a Cause is a perfect. You don't have to rethink where the money's going. So I hope you're able to compete. I hope if WFCT finds out about this or listens, they would make somehow. I understand you're on the next list, like next runner-up list or whatever. Like, but there's got to be a way that you compete. So I hope you can compete. Now, if you can compete, because there's no freaking way in the world, I think it would be super cool if it was possible. I don't know that you would do it. I don't know that they would do it. But if you weren't competing, the next coolest thing I'd want to see is I'd want to see you and your team attacking a Porsche and PPFing it in like fucking 45 minutes, full vehicle or something. I think that alone would be like a training, entertainment, spectacle / competition. Like it would be everything. Any chances?
Actually, I'd want to do that. Maybe at an XTC event would be great just to have me and my team do a whole car in 3 hours.
Yeah,
I
just
mean,
like being able to see it would be fucking cool.
and we did that the other day. Somebody came. Who was it? A guy named Martin. He came. Um,
Martin from Louis Vuitton?
no, that's Marvin. See,
Martin.
but everyone knows who I'm talking about whenever I see Louis Vuitton. Martin, same thing
For
almost.
sure. You've marketed him. You've turned him into somebody like that's known
He's a
in
big guy.
your sphere of influence.
Yes, and that's the reason why I do this. I mean, that way, whenever you think of Louis Vuitton, you think, let me reach out to Marvin. Marvin would, and then of course, again, there's no discounts on Louis Vuitton, but he's benefiting, and then I'm benefiting too because now my stardom goes up when they want to do another. Because they came to my house one day and set up for me and my friends.
I
They
saw
don't
a
do,
private event where they brought a trailer, they set up a store in your driveway.
yes,
Yeah.
and they don't do that for anybody. So
I would imagine that's not where they weren't headed to the neighbor after they
no,
left your fucking house.
no, I'm sitting here going, I'm Tim Ham. So
I
they don't
know.
do this for movie stars. They don't do this for celebrities, and they're doing it for me. I have no idea. It's just a relationship, I guess, or maybe I do spend a bunch of money for no damn reason. I don't know.
Maybe. Can you take us for a tour of your castle?
Yeah, I can. Man, let's get up here. All right, so this right here is a theater room. Let me try to figure out how to do this. But of course, when people talk about my speakers, I mean, you've got $20,000 Martin Logans. These things are the SVS.
Is that a Tinters for a Cause towel? What am I looking at?
Oh, this is
Or is that Louis Vuitton? They look similar.
Louis Vuitton and Supreme.
Oh, Supreme. Okay, got it.
Well, and Louis Vuitton. So it's kind of
Yeah.
special rare.
Very nice.
Of course, this is a theater room. I'm trying to figure out how to use this camera here. You got my blankets where it's gonna hang out.
Very nice.
Of course, here is the pool table room. You get the nice little watches, clocks, whatever, TVs.
Do you like PPF late at night? You're never in this room, right? You're in a
No,
different
no,
room.
no. I'm in my
This is
office.
kind of a party room.
Well, party room I never use. I mean, you got 2 more TVs, fireplaces. You got over 30 pull sticks that are like $500 each, and I've never used any of them.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just that guy. Sometimes I'll buy things just to say, sure, tax write off. So, of course, you've got the nice slushy machine, professional TVs.
Okay.
Of course, lots of liquor. You know, I'm not a Mike Burke that has them laying it out, but they're in every cabinet here. I don't know how to use this fucking camera, but
You're doing good.
hooker and cocaine thingy with all my XPEL deal of the year things.
Words.
So this one is like McDonald's. I have my own ice cream machine.
It's like McDonald's because it doesn't work.
Yeah, I've never plugged it up. So you're right. It's just it doesn't work. But
it looks brand new. That's why.
Yeah. I mean, I do have the ice cream mix right here, the soft serve. I just never fucking hooked it up. So the same thing with all this. I mean,
Take this to the room with money. There's a room that's full of money. I think like either gold coins or fucking bricks of money.
You know, and you're right. All my money is hidden in my Legos.
Okay.
And which I take you to that room in just a minute. You're gonna be like, hey, which box is all your money in? Well, you got to find it first.
It's Mr. B style, Mr. Ham style games. I like it.
Well, anyway, here, of course, 2 fridges, microwave, blah, blah, blah. So people ask me about my little, I'm going to skip one of the pictures, which that one kind of, but, you know, my kind of motivational, I'll quickly pass this one. But, you know, Wolf of Wall Street, you know, grit, grind.
You know, I said it to you when you passed on before the live stream, but it's just hard to believe that you need motivational posters or motivational anything. You seem like your cup runneth over with motivation.
I still have to motivate myself every day. This is my Porsche room, which, you know, posters, these expensive ass seats that I've never used. I'm going to have 2 of them. I don't know what the fuck they are.
It's kind of a theme. I feel like you kind of have the kind of house somebody could go in and rob you and you probably wouldn't notice for like 7 or 8 years.
No, I wouldn't.
You just feel like, I don't know. I don't even know what was here.
Of course, you know, all the autograph stuff. Football.
Don't rob him. That was just a joke, but go ahead.
Oh, no. I mean, hey, you know, I do have good security. You have to get through the security.
There's a gun room and a moat and alligators and all sorts of shit. So.
Well, actually, one of my employees ran over the gate, and they had camera footage of him coming in, putting in the code, timestamp him leaving, and then they were at my house to collect $1,000 for the damages.
To the gate.
So yeah, so security actually will come after you. All right, so here's my this is my collectible room. Let me see if I can. So this right here is Ghostbuster stuff. Most of these are $1,000 each. I mean, a lot of them are graded. Some of them are really hold on. Of course, you got the stuff from Ryan Martin.
What are we looking at that's $1,000 each? Just so I know, in case.
Stuff like this. This is like 1 of 10 made.
Holy shit! So what is that though? Like that's a action figure to a like cartoon or like comic?
Yeah, Ghostbusters. I mean, that stuff.
Oh, that's Ghostbusters. Got it.
Yeah, all this is basically Ghostbusters.
Got it.
If you look here, you know, they're all new in a box. And people's like, holy shit, you know, Transformers, whatever it may be.
Okay.
Now, you know, of course, I like the Back to the Future. Now, we're going to walk into this room. The lighting is not very good because, well, it's all the way to the ceiling. But here is, it's just dark. But, I mean, as you can see, just...
I see, looks like the same, like, Lego set you kind of have across the entire top shelf there, yeah?
It is. I mean, it's like hundreds of each one. I mean, you've got Star Wars. You've got pretty much everything.
How many years have you been collecting like these collectibles, would you say? Seriously collecting, like stocking up?
Maybe 3, but I got to the point where I can't buy any more. I mean, just like up here. Hold on, let me see if I can.
Wow.
You see all the Bugattis and stuff?
Yep.
These Bugattis were $350. They're now $500. I mean, it's just specific stuff that you buy. Again, it's kind of hard to walk around and show you because it's just so much stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, this room is just one big ass.
So you throw the Legos away and you put cash inside the box, and then you put the boxes on your shelf, right?
Some of them, yeah. So good luck finding which box it is. I mean, you know,
I
you
like
look
that.
at the Hot Wheel collection from this side.
Holy moly.
It's like thousands of, I think it's like 4,000 Hot Wheels.
Holy moly.
Or the walls full of more toys, more Legos.
That's a lot of stuff, man.
So yeah, people have no idea. You know, a lot of stuff is autographed. This is from Negan from Walking Dead. Again, all the Ryan Martin stuff. More Fireball stuff here. Of course, stuff like this. So I'm like a big kid.
I love it. You know Jared, obviously. I feel like you need to bring him to your fucking collection here, because he's kind of a. I feel like he would want to take the Ghostbuster ones out or something. I don't know. You know?
Yeah, yeah. And then I got, yeah, I don't like people touching my stuff.
Have a Nerf gun then or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, could do that.
What do you mean you don't like people? So do you take? Hold on, you don't like people touching your stuff. So like, if I come over, I can't put together a Lego set with you. Like,
no, not at all.
Even if I wash my hands.
No, because a lot of them are still brand new in a box.
Right. You don't want to take them out of the box for that. But I didn't know. You mentioned earlier, like you take some out, I think, or you don't.
No. Yeah, I have. This is just my basement. If you go upstairs, you got one room with every video game system you can think of.
Nintendos, Ataris, examples of all the vintage systems. Yeah.
Yeah, I even have the original Apple video game system that failed in the early 80s.
I can only imagine how valuable those will continue to become.
It is, yes. I mean, people don't realize that's a collectible too, because I mean, if you go look, they go up in value. I've got the original Ataris. I've got the Nintendo 64 DD drive. They made less than 1,000 of those. 9 different video games. But I've got one room with an 86-inch screen TV, and every system is displayed out. Now, will I ever play them? No. Why do I have 80,000 games? I don't know why. It's just there. There's another room for my media, you know, for football, whatever. So you've got 2 sections with liquor, you know, just all my expensive liquor, like the King Louis and whatnot. I think Jim was over. No, somebody came over the other day. Who the fuck was it? They're like, hey, can we have some of your King Louis? I'm like, fuck no. Why don't you open it? So they're just kind of for looks. It's like having a good looking wife. You don't have sex with her. You're saving it for the next guy or something. I don't know. That's what I'm doing with the liquor, but I'm waiting for it to go up and then sell it.
Right. That's why. But that's the answer is like, you don't open it because you're planning on selling it, not drinking it. That's simple as that.
Yeah. I mean, the same thing with the toys. I do open certain things. I'll open one, maybe of each. I mean, if I buy 100 of each one, sure, I can open. You can do one. It's okay. Right. And then I sit there and go, man, I need to place that one. And then I fill it with money. And then you've got it's a treasure hunt. It's going to take you all day to figure out which box it is.
Got plenty of time on my hands. I'm ready whenever you want to let me loose in your house. Give me like an hour and I'll do my best.
Okay. So you have 1 hour. You have to wear some heels and a thong. You good with that?
Under my clothes, I assume you're saying, right?
No. I've got to be able to visualize it and get my money's worth whenever I see you running around.
I think we're at the point of the show where we announce that your house is going to be where the next Tinter Battles is taking place.
We should do that. My neighbors would love. I mean, they'd love it. I mean, they're probably HOA just hates me.
Hopefully, your neighbor's Rick Ross.
No. I wish it was. I mean, he's maybe about an hour away. We can go to his house.
His house is fucking insane.
It is.
Have you been by that house? Have you something you drive by or no?
No. He's on the south side. I mean, back in the day when Holyfield owned it, I've been there once, but it's huge. I mean, Rick Ross has llamas and shit. I want that.
Because you got buffalo.
Yeah, buffalo. I forgot they're in his neighbor's house. No, he has all types of fucking animals.
Yeah.
And cars.
The car show that he just put on was insane. The yearly car show he does at his house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I want to be at the point where he is. They told him he can't do it. You know what he did? He went to town hall or whatever. He told me, yeah, this is the way it's going to be. Make the permits happen. And they did.
Yeah, right. Well, I imagine just as you are influential in your circle, he is influential in his city because of the culture and money and supporters, and I'm sure pays a lot of taxes, and
Hmm.
they needed somebody to fucking have that house. So anyway, I can only imagine he gets his way. It also, you remind me a little bit of DJ Khaled, when nobody believed in him, God did, and he makes it happen.
He did.
Anyway, so Tinder battles at Tim's house.
Yeah, let's do it.
Is there anything we didn't talk about that you wanted to brush up on, or anybody you maybe wanted to give a shout out, like a hater you just wanted to shut down, anything of that nature before we
You
wrap
know,
up?
we mentioned haters. Of course, everybody has haters. I love haters because if you're not doing something right, you have no haters. Nobody's talking about you. You want people to talk about you. That's what I tell business owners. You want somebody to think, "Oh my gosh, this I've met this crazy guy, hookers, cocaine. What the fuck? His credit card said it. How did he get it on his Amex?" And I have a rep, almost like a Principal Hardy. I call my rep and I tell them, "Hey, I want this on a card." They tell me, "No, we can't do that." I'm like, "What do you mean?" "It needs to be attached to a social security number, and it doesn't have one." I'm like, "All right, I'll tell you what. I spend between $1 to $2 million with you a year between all six businesses. I'm going to take that money and I'm going to use my Discover." "Oh, why would you do that?" "Well, first off, I wanted hookers cocaine on my credit card." He said no. "Second off, with Discover, I get cash back. With you, I get points. I don't use the points really. I don't really care." Like, I tell you what, Mr. Ham, give me 10 minutes. Let me talk to my supervisor. Within 10 minutes, I get a phone call. "Your card's been approved." And it's all in the power of how much money you're willing to take from them. Because at $2 million at 4%, is it 4%? What was Amex charge? 4,
Oh,
7?
so what's the moral of that story at its core? If you fucking
Oh,
spend a lot of money with somebody, you can get your way.
yes, exactly. So, moral of the story, I know people like Billy Ellis would be like, "Tim," because he's tried that. He's tried to call Amex and get them to give him a cocaine cowboy or something. So, when people ask me, "Hey, Tim, how do you get away with a lot of things?" I said, if you want a credit card to say a certain thing, then you just pretty much you call them, you tell them what you want. I mean, I'm not asking, I'm going to tell you, because if you don't do it for me, the next person will. I mean, and people don't realize that. If you want a customer to always come back to you, you don't have to be a dickhead to them, but you want to act like you've known them forever. So you cut up with them. You're not always kissing their ass. "Oh my gosh, that looks so good on your car." There's been times that I've seen shitty ass stuff. I'm like, "Dude, that looks like shit. You like those wheels?" "No." "Put this set of wheels on." "Well, that costs more money." "Well, look at the difference. I mean, you'd be happier with this versus just a customer trying to, or people trying to upsell. I
Let
think
me ask you this. When you were wanting this hookers and cocaine credit card, and they're like, "No, Tim," and you're like, "Listen, I spend a lot of money. I can take my money elsewhere." And they said, "All right, Tim, you make a good point. Let's make it happen." If you reverse roles there and you put yourself on the side of, "I'm Tim with Felony PPF," customer comes in and says, "Hey, Tim, this is what I want." And you say, "Look, that's not going to happen." And they say, "Well, Tim, I spend a lot of money with you. I can take my money somewhere else." Do you do you imagine in this hypothetical scenario that you'll provide the same grace that Amex provided you? Or do you kind of take the, "I'm still Tim, and I'm gonna get what I want"? Just asking.
okay, it's funny you say that because if you ask any of my retailers, you don't put me in front of a customer because I will legitimately tell you to fuck off. I guess at
But
that
what
point,
I'm saying is, let's say even the dealership tells you, like, "Tim, I need you to fucking XYZ." Do you find yourself saying, "Hey, look, the customer's right because I wanted my Amex to be customized. This guy wants his fucking PPF split down the middle, stealth on half the hood and gloss on the other half. I don't understand fucking why, but that's what we're gonna do." Or like,
hey, if you have the money, I'm gonna figure out how to take that money from your pocket and put it into mine. I think that was on Wolf of Wall Street. I mean, take the money out of your pocket and put it into mine. So, if you have the money to spend with me and that's what you want, sure. Now, if you're gonna tell me I'm gonna do it at 3 a.m. at the same price, I'm gonna tell you to fuck.
okay, so
But
how
if I
about
did,
this? let's take the moral of this one, because this kind of almost ties into, I feel like, something we were talking about with Mike Norn a couple days ago. Maybe the moral of this is it pays to do things in high volume because it can open doors and get you access and get you your way, which in definitely, depending on the scenario, could be very beneficial to you. You can make things happen because of volume. So there's just a value in volume, because in Mike Nork's scenario, we were talking about, because he has multiple locations now, he's opening another one, but because he has multiple ones now, he can afford to hire somebody a month in advance, train them, use them over here, because he has the volume to withstand that. And in your case, the volume gets you maybe easier ordering your film, or gets you maybe some solution solved quicker, or a credit card that says hookers and cocaine on it, which then, you've used as a conversation piece, I imagine, a lot. And it becomes like a very memorable thing. And like, it's not just a fucking joke. You've leveraged it in your business, right? And in your relationships.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that kind of made me famous was a stupid credit card. And then I showed the people that you can log on to the app and show them it actually says it. I'm out of fuck. How do I do that? But anything is always possible. I mean, just like, again, whenever I was saying something about 3 a.m, you want me to do install at 3 a.m, and it pays way more money, I'll be at your house.
Yeah.
I may not drive, I'll take a flight, but I'll be there.
I believe it. That's that element is can be a very important one to success. Being ready to do the job, get the job done, whatever it takes. You have to pay for it, but get the job done. It's always about getting the job done.
Of course. And we were talking about something about how much longer, where am I going to go? I think PPF, I mean, I do like what I do, but I think 2 more years and I'm done. 25 years. I think that'd be my max, where I want to travel. I want to. You're going to call me, hey, Tim, where you at? I'm in South Africa. Why the fuck you there? I'm buying a fucking giraffe. I don't know.
Is your team still operating, or have you sold or separated from the business at that point?
The team is going to be operating. I mean, right now we're working out this small things to make sure it works where I could step away. I mean, it's been like today, they're still completing stuff right now. I think they just finished a turbo asshole car.
Would you be there if you weren't on this live stream?
Today I probably would, because Junior is on vacation, which he hasn't taken a vacation in a very long time. So 4 people were actually working today. They had a long day. I did ask them if they need help. I will go, but nobody asked for help. So
let me ask you this. So if one of your middle installers, meaning middle skill level, middle time with you, not your best, not your newest, somebody who has been able to prove themselves in the past, starts to slack off, you're not there, and they did, the passenger door and front fender, and both of those kind of look like shit. Maybe tomorrow you're redoing them or something like that. What do you do with somebody that you have time invested in? They have the potential, but for some reason they're fucking off and they're not taking it as seriously when you're not around. How do you handle it?
They know that I can get irate, mean, loud. It's not all the time. Sometimes I do that with everybody. But of course, first off, I charge them my wholesale price to redo it. Second off, it doesn't matter if it's my son or a middle guy or whoever it is. I will instantly fire somebody. I mean, I've done that in the past. Reputation is number one.
Like, how long does it take to fire, though? You know what I mean? Like, mess up here, mess up there, continuously kind of messing up here and there. Sometimes they do it right, sometimes they do it wrong. How long are they getting away with that? For a month, for a year, for a week?
That's really hard to answer. I mean,
okay, fair.
I mean, I can only do it for so much, and then I'm done. I mean, bye. I mean, I've fired people within 2 weeks. I've fired people within 6 months, or even if you get good, even my best guys, if you do, let's use Junior's example. He's been with me 7 years. Let's pretend that he just started fucking off, doing whatever he wants. If it's best for my business to get rid of somebody, I will. I mean, it's business. It's not friendship too, yes, but if it's a business relationship, and he understands, I've been training him to take the business and run it as he was me. You can only do it in certain sections because I've given it to him and Alex to kind of do everything I actually do, the install part, and then you've got to do the bookings, and then you've got to cut the kits. They're extremely tired. Whenever I go on vacation, Junior, he's like, "Oh my gosh, Tim, I don't know how you do it." My son tells me the same thing. We don't know how you get 2 hours of sleep and go out and do it again. And at the same time, I am wanting to step back soon. I'm getting ready to. I mean, Mike Mayo once told me, Tim, business, if you can walk away from it and not actually have to do anything, that's a successful business, not someone that has to cut kits. Now, the reason why I cut kits late at night, and my employees or installers will tell you, is I want them to go home, get a good night's sleep. I'd rather cut the kits and be in charge of bookings. Gives me a purpose, something to do.
But couldn't you dial it back just a little bit to where you are like they're cutting the hypothetically, I'm just asking, couldn't you dial it back? Because maybe at that pace, you've got to cut the kits because they can't, it's just too much. But if you dial it back just a little bit, could it just continue? Is that the plan essentially, or how do you plan on managing that?
Define dialing it back.
Well, there's obviously like a certain amount of hours in the day, and you just said like, you'll do it because you can handle not sleeping or sleeping 2 hours. You want them to go get a good night's rest. So if there was a little less to do, they would be able to do it in the amount of time that's reasonable, and everybody sleeps 4 hours instead of 2. Is that the plan? Or you know what I mean? Like just doing. Yeah, Matt said you don't know what dialing back means.
No.
It's like okay, how about this? You add another person, and that person does most of the things that you might like, maybe cuts the kits. So it's one less thing. That would be dialing back, but actually dialing forward.
I can't do the dialing back.
Well, dialing forward.
Okay, or that, because
adding a person is kind of dialing back because it lowers the amount of thing. Like if it's simple, you get what I'm saying, right? It's not that complicated of a thing. Like if you have to fucking stay up all night, you either get another person or you do a little less, and then you don't stay up all night. Or is that not on the table?
Actually, I like staying up all night. I'm gonna tell you why I like working late. My phone's not ringing right now.
Your phone is not ringing, right? So you have to quiet.
Yeah, I mean.
Now, why the fuck's your phone ringing all the time?
It's.
Because you say how busy you are. You've mentioned like your phone's blowing up. You have 200 messages. Who's messaging? You don't have retail clients. Is it the dealer just being like, Tim, what's going on?
It is.
Is it like friends or like what's going on here?
It's just like whenever I wake up, you have all these missed calls. I mean,
who are they from though? Like customers or dealer, like salespeople or?
Yeah, dealerships.
Billy Ellis and Marco and
actually Billy Ellis is on this because he just kept calling me yesterday till I fucking answered. And then he tries to FaceTime me. I mean, Billy Ellis, there you are.
Well, you should have picked up the phone. I don't know what the fuck you were thinking.
I did. I was going to a meeting with a clothes designer, and I told him, and I'm like, dude, I'm going somewhere. But yeah, most of this is the dealerships. And
they're calling the schedule basically.
Yes, it is. And sometimes I'll have one just with a specific person, and then I'll have one with all the finance guys and my ceramic team and a couple of my PPF team. Then you'll have another one with just me and 3 other people.
Got it.
And then because there's specifics, because there's some things that if it's getting ceramic and it's one of my installers is doing the job, he needs to be aware of that one's being booked with ceramic. Understood. Or with window tint or PPF. And of course, we work with Cartoons Atlanta, Amron, which he does on my radars. He does them for both Porsche dealers too. So some of these cars are getting radar too. So now we have to figure out, as another group text, whatever. Okay. So it's, we need to figure out, let's do the PPF first. After PPF, it goes straight to radar and jammer. And then after that, window tint. And then once all that's done, ceramic. Ceramic needs to be the last thing that's touched, which I feel bad for my guys because they legitimately have to wait to the very end. They may get the car at 5 o'clock, 6, or, they can't do their job first. Like me, I mean, my job's first. That way it doesn't get rock chips where it's going. And then, of course, some of these other guys get the shit in their stick that they're the last person that touches it. And I feel bad. The hell was the moral of that story?
The moral of that story is entrepreneurs don't dial it back. They dial it forward.
Yeah. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. I mean, again, I wake up to a bunch of texts. You have the bullshit text between, some of the guys, because late at night they'll have a drink or something, and I'm over here going, "The fuck, you guys still up? Y'all are drinking. I'm still working," and talk shit. You know, just random stuff. I mean, just random, whatever. I can't even tell you half the things that we talk about sometimes.
Is there anything on the books for tomorrow?
No, no, no. Tomorrow, we don't do weekends. There's no weekends.
Monday through Friday, no Saturday, no Sunday. How about Labor Day's Monday? No
Labor
work?
Day, Lizzie asked the other day, "Oh, we could have the day off." It's like usually if it's a high-profile holiday, I would give everyone paid day off.
Beautiful.
So everyone's off Monday. I do have some people that ask me, "Hey, can you come do my personal Tesla?" I was like, maybe. Somebody texted me tonight, another company that he does his own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He overbooked and needed help tonight, and I actually said no. I'm actually at a point in my life where I can tell people, no, don't call me. And is it going to matter? No.
That's dialing it back. That's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
it is. It is.
That's dialing it back. Like
Yes.
going like, hey, I'm not going to push myself over a cliff. This is where I'm going to draw my line. You know what I mean? As opposed to over here. I don't know. I think it's a thing.
I think when you're first beginning, you have to take as much as you can. You have to build a reputation.
25 hours a day, do what you got to do. 100%.
Yes. And now that I'm taking it to a certain level, I can dial it back and say, okay, sorry guys, fuck off. Again, earlier you knew that I actually took a whole day and slept. I mean, I already did 2-3 days of 2 hours, and sometimes people are like, "Do you ever rest?" I was like, "Yeah, sometimes I'll take a full Saturday and just sleep the whole day." And it was actually today, for some odd reason, my body was just like, "Tim, you're done." And I almost missed this because remember, 30 minutes before, I was like, "Dude, just getting up. Holy shit, I got to do this and that."
I was like, good timing. I mean, it's before the show, not after. So
yeah, I mean, I think I woke up ordered some Chick-fil-A on DoorDash, then sometimes around 5 I ordered some more food and then went right back to sleep. And yeah, so sometimes I do need sleep, and I'll take a full day.
final question that I have that I feel like rounds this off because we're talking about sleep. You don't actually do cocaine. You don't do any drugs. You don't actually even smoke marijuana as far as you admit. And you're not much of a drinker, if a drinker at all, right? A little bit of a drinker?
Every once in a while. I mean,
what I'm trying to get at is you're pretty like drug free.
Yeah.
Even so the branding says otherwise. It's like Red Bull, cigarettes, and that's it, right? Like for real?
I've never tried cocaine. I don't like things up my nose. I don't have tattoos. I mean, I don't like needles. So
because when you're talking about being up for like 5 days, I think about like methamphetamines, and
yeah,
like that. You crash for 2 days, you're up for 5 days, but you don't do any of that. Like you're not a sleeping pill kind of guy. You're not a bag of prescription. Like it's like nothing. You're pretty like clean cut cigarettes and Red Bull. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Like for me, I've never had a hangover, which I don't drink to that extent where I'll have a hangover. I've never had a headache. I mean, whenever I broke my clavicle, I went straight out of surgery, straight to work. And they gave me oxys or whatever. I took it for 1 day and never took them again. So pain, whatever, I don't care. I don't really get sick. I did have COVID once, not too long ago. Yeah, it's just one of those things where marijuana, I've done that 6 times my whole life. Makes me paranoid and makes me want to go to sleep. So it's not for me. Sleeping pills, and I mean, I can drink a Red Bull, go straight to sleep. No big deal there. As far as drugs go, Red Bulls, cigarettes, that's it.
Work is your addiction, but in a good way, not in a bad way. And 19 days from now, WFCT, looking forward to seeing you, Tim.
Of course. You taking me on a date? Where are we going?
Yeah. If you have the Porsche.
I'm probably going to bring the Panamera.
It's still a Porsche. That works.
It is. So I'm going to load up my own chair, my install stuff. Hopefully, they're going to let me compete. Maybe they'll let me win, and I can just donate the money to somebody. I might give it to
you. The fact that you're willing to donate the money if you win to Tinters for a Cause, I feel like you have to like. There's got to be a way that you compete. Like that's just too good of a. And for everybody to get to see you compete and like put your skills in, I'm sure you'll be competing. somehow I'm sure it'll work out.
I'm sure I am too, because I know with the I know Audubon's pulling for me, XPEL is too, and I'm sure you might say something to Donna and be like, "Hey, make sure he's in there," because I know everybody wants to see it.
All right, I
And
like
of
that.
course, I do have a special dinner that day for that award for that PPF Magazine, so that's always a treat. Sean White's going to be there, which I didn't know who he was at first. I'm like, "Hey, who is this guy?"
Hell yeah.
Yeah, now I know who he is.
Olympic snowboarder. That should be
Yeah.
fun.
But I know it's getting late, so 2 hours.
We did it.
You want to go another 4 hours?
When I messaged you about doing it, I was truly expecting to do it at like 1 a.m. So I feel like you really went nice. It was 6 p.m. my time, 9 p.m. your time. It wasn't that late. I was expecting this to be like a 2 a.m. weeding session, like while you're plotting. So I really do appreciate you taking the time to share so much. You take it so seriously in the sense, like, I really feel like, everything you said is so genuine. That's just the kind of person you are. And sharing all your tips and tricks and so on. You have a unique business, one that there's a lot to learn from. And I hope people found value. I'm sure there's just tons of value that can be found from everything you shared tonight. So a sincere thank you.
Oh, of course. I mean, I do my best to help people out. I get so many messages from people saying I'm an inspiration or questions. I mean, even before I was getting text messages today, messages, "Hey Tim, we're gonna tune in." Obviously, I can't see their comments or anything because I'm just kind of speaking. Trying to inspire people, trying to get other people onto my level for them to see, look, if Tim did it as a 10-time felon, a man that went to prison, I could do it. I also did it with no financial backing. I did it myself. I mean, another one of my stories is maybe 2018, I downsized from a huge house to a small house, to a ranch. Um, and I used to only buy 2, 3 rolls at a time when I branched out to myself. Next thing you know, now I'm buying $300,000 worth and it's paid for and going through it pretty quick. But more of that story is I went from a really big house, made some sacrifices to a small house, sold all my Porsches, drove a $10,000 Q5, and then now I'm back into another country club again, and everything's paid for, and this and that. And so, more of that story is what people don't realize is if you focus on yourself, sometimes you have to step back and downgrade. It's not really a downgrade when you know there's something better in the future. I mean, again, I just had a Q5 from a bunch of Porsches and a big house. And then now, I have the Speedster and all these other cool cars or whatever. But people don't see up and down, up and down. You make your sacrifices so you can build your bigger team, so you can invest into making sure my guys installers have work. So, I mean, without the work, I can't have high paid installers.
Very valuable addition to that timeline you just shared, because it's not just like you don't wake up one day and you're just fucking killing it. You know what I mean? Like you said, there's stages and you learn and you go up, you go down, like you said, you take a step back so that you can better invest into your business and so on, all with the end goal in mind, or the vision in mind. But
well, I meet a lot of people that aren't happy, that they're not where I'm at. So I'm 43, and so I get these young guys that are 25, 30, like, well, we think we deserve to be where you're at. I'm like, bro, everyone.
Go get it. Go get it. If you deserve it, go get it. The world is yours. It's out there.
Yes, but they're not realizing that at one point, everyone wants to be a millionaire, right? They started off at $50,000 a year, then they move up to 100, then they're at 150. But they get to 150, they're still mad. And I asked them, I said, when you're making $50,000, were you mad? No, we're happy. What the fuck changed? Your greed changed. You're just not happy you're not way over here. Like back then, I've always wanted Porsches. I mean, you see 60, 70-year-old guys buying new Porsches. I'm blessed to have been able to do it at age 30, 40, and I can go in and buy a new car. But that's putting in the hours to do that. And again, it goes back to these guys that want to be in my position, the haters. I mean, they're happy 10 years ago making half of what they're making now, and then now they're bitching. because they see someone else doing it, but they didn't put in the time. And sometimes I tell my installers that too. I'm like, my son, especially, I mean, he's 20. He sees all this. Other installers are making more money. They have nice cars. I mean, new houses, and he's 20. I'm like, son, you have to go. You're not going to get it within a year. It's going to take you 5 years. It might take you 10. If you put in 5 good years with me, you listen to me, and you invest what I tell you to invest in, I'm not always right. I mean, I may be, I may not be. I mean, I don't invest in stocks because stocks go down and may go up. I don't do crypto. I know, I learned one of my friends in California, he made a shit ton of money off of crypto, but I can't get mad at it because I didn't invest. Do I want to take that chance? No. But it's just advice for people when they want to be that millionaire. You got to put in the time, and then you've also got to think, if you're not there yet, what are you doing wrong? Is it your spending habits? They'll come out and make some more money. They go buy a new car. They'll go and buy a bigger house. Do you really need a bigger house? Like me, I mean, do I really need this big house? No, I don't. I mean,
but is it at the cost of your business growth or your business stability or your personal stability and so on? And if it's not, then great, you have a big house. But like if you're saying in some cases, people can leverage themselves to where things are always tight, and then they don't have the flexibility within their business to use the money for marketing or to be willing to have the confidence to ask for higher prices because so scared that they might not get the revenue or whatever it is. So I think that's the point. There's nothing wrong with a big house as long as it's not at the cost of, you keeping that big house potentially or your business or whatever, right?
Yeah, it's just making sure you have plenty of backups. I mean, I was talking on a gym. I overpay on everything I have. My power bill, I overpay. I mean, I think they owe me like $4,000. He was like, "Why do you do that?" I'm like, "What if my business fails tomorrow?" I mean, seriously. I mean, what if something happens?
I think you could keep that $4,000 in your bank account, and then if the power, you'll just pay it fucking every month. If the business fails, you'll still have that $4,000, and you'll pay I think the idea is that $4,000 compounded with all the other money would potentially earn 5 or 7% interest safely, as opposed to be sitting in like the fucking power company's hands.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying. I completely get what you're saying. You live a very, like, you've got backup plans. You can't go bad tomorrow. You have plan A, B, C, and D.
I think I think the moral of that story is making a habit to overpay. So every month I'll put $250 away into the power bill, water bill. And then it's like I tell my son, I mean, it's like having backup money. Every month put $200 away. Rainy day, what if you get a speeding ticket? What if your car breaks down? What if you need a tire? What if anything that happens? You've got to have that spare money somewhere you can pull it out of. Something happens to me tonight, and let's say I break my clavicle and my leg tonight. And what if I didn't have installers? That means my film's still paid for. My mortgage is still 6 months in advance paid. So is my car payment. So for 6 months, I think I'm okay. But there's always, what if in that 6 months, what if I lose my business? I mean, who knows? I mean, nobody knows what's going to happen. So I guess the moral of that is make sure that you're set up. I mean, put money aside, pay a couple extra car notes. That when something happens to you tomorrow, you don't have to worry for 3 months. You can look for a job. Just don't take your time. I mean, I see people go, "Oh, well, it's prepaid already. I'm good to go." No, try to do it as soon as possible. Just, I think that's what people lack is they get raises, they go buy a bunch of shit they don't need. And then, like you said earlier, some of these guys have a Rolex, nice big house, but have 2 or 3 rolls of film. I mean, me and my rep talk about that all the time, that they have to next day something that's $90 for a roll of film. I mean, why don't you have 5 of them, or window tinters? Or I know some window tinters that have a roll at a time. Sure, they're just starting out, but when they're making more money, hey, let's go drinking. Let's go to the club every week. And I haven't been to the club, and I think the last family reunion, that was the first time I've been out with Rick and them. I mean, I don't go out very much, and I didn't drink. So I think we went to a strip club. I spent maybe $30. It was on Cokes. I didn't, I don't care.
You spent $30 on like Coca-Cola.
Yeah, Coca-Cola.
Gotcha. Okay. Threw me for the loop with that one for a second.
Hey, Coke, yeah.
With $30, like I'm sure the girls weren't very happy. That's all
No,
you spent too.
I sat there with Eric Kimball, and he had his drinks. I'm drinking a Coca-Cola. I'm totally sober. I mean, XTC, I go out and I'm sober too. I mean, it's kind of nice sometimes just chilling and watching people. And it saves me a bunch of money too. I mean, I don't usually pay for my drinks. I feel like a woman because everyone's like, Tim, let me buy you something. Like, cool, thanks. I know how it is to be a celebrity now.
And with that, Tim, do you want to wrap this up?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm good. It's 2 hours. I'll send you a bill for my time.
Fuck.
But I don't know. Was there any questions I missed in the dialogue on the bottom?
I tried to slip them in. Some of the questions that might have sounded like mine were actually from the comments. So yeah, I think we covered everything. I mean, I feel like, tell me if I'm crazy here, but if somebody does listen to it after and they have a question, they could just fucking message you, or they could put it in the comments, or they could put it in the comments, or they could message you. Either way, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm. Most people know that I do answer questions, best of my knowledge.
Yeah.
Unless it's something really tedious or something I charge for, sure, I'm like a hooker. You need something, sometimes you got to pay for the time. Pay for an hour. You only get 3 minutes. What do you talk to the woman about?
I have no idea what you're talking about, but sincerely, thank you for sharing sharing your experience and so on, and congratulations on creating such an incredible business. I think businesses, like, they can be done in so many different ways. Everybody has their own unique touch and spin. It's like a piece of art. It really is, right? And you've created a very unique, special, profitable, strong piece of art, and you deserve a lot of credit for it. So, and enjoy your success. And again, thanks for sharing, as you always do. And yeah,
And we've got to do this again. So let's not procrastinate next time.
we won't procrastinate. We'll be doing another one.
Now, this was me at Wednesday going, hey, I didn't even ask permission, Friday, 9:00. And you're just like, okay. So yeah, let's do it again. That was good.
Absolutely. Thank you. I look forward to it.
All right.
See you and some other people in 18 days, 19 days.
Yes.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Tim.
Bye. See you.
Bye.